Right, welcome. So important video here today. I'm going to record these daily. If you don't have like 10 minutes, well, most likely you're never going to make any money online. Just kidding. It's easy to make money online. Just follow what your master says, which is me. That's a very bad joke. But yeah, I want to take a second to tell you exactly what it takes. And this sounds super cliche and fluffy, but what it takes to build a business successfully and literally not waste time doing it. Because you can build businesses 100 different ways, but there's the fast track and there's the slow track, which I've gone through, and hopefully through these videos and through me explaining how I'm doing things now, which is 100% faster, might make you go via this path instead of the one that I took. So why am I qualified to speak about any of this? Because I've built two somewhat successful companies. The first one was a marketplace, software marketplace. It was a marketplace, which is a software which grew from 0 to 300K a year in its first 12 months of existence, which is pretty cool. And most recently, this is our new software business. It's almost at 40K a month, which is pretty cool. So yeah, that's why I'm qualified, not bragging, just like putting my credentials out there. So what does it really take to build anything really successfully? And I'm going to speak about software businesses because that's what I know, right? And hopefully you can translate this, and it's transversal. I don't know if the word exists in English or not, but you can spread this across any industry. So what do I mean by this? For example, when you're building, and let's call this a business, a software business, you have this idea in your head that you want to build this huge business, right? Let's call this a building, right? With a huge front glass door, right? With a rotating door, huge floor-to-ceiling windows, right? That's your big idea, right? Your big vision, which is good, man. You want to have a vision, right? That's the whole point of building anything. You want to have a great vision with a helipad on top, so helicopter can land here, with bushes up down here with flowers. I mean, this is your vision, right? It shines, made out of gold, right? It shines. It's also glows in the dark. It's amazing, right? This is what you want to build, and it's great you have this vision, because having a vision gives you a path. You know you're here, right? And you want to get here. You know more or less that you want to go in a straight line, but you don't know through how you're really going to get here, right? Because it's never a straight line, but you know what you want to build, right? So you know more or less which direction to move in, right? You know you have to go to the right, but you might just go up, down to reach the goal, right? Reach building this thing. The issue is most of the times what you envision in your head, right? This great glow-in-the-dark gold hotel or building isn't what your customers want. And this is a mistake I see not everyone, but most people, beginners, doing. It's having a vision, which is great, but then not being humble enough to tone down or actually keep the vision, but build a more toned down version of that vision. Let me give you an actual concrete example, because I don't like to speak in these. I like to speak in concrete examples. For example, when I was building my marketplace here, Vetted, I had this vision in mind, right? I had this building I wanted to build, amazing. So with a bunch of features, right? We had the ability to sponsor services, to list them on the homepage. We had the ability for people to do consulting calls. We had so much stuff, which I thought people would want. The reality is that once we spent a year building this business, right? Took so much time, right? Took so much time. We spent a year building it, and then we told people, listen, people, this is me here. We built this great business. Now come on in. Now the issue is that all these people here that I had access to because of marketing efforts, and I can speak about marketing efforts later on if you want, they look at this and they saw something that they did not want, right? Some parts of it they did want, and some of them just really went into the business, into the marketplace or building, right? And did use the door, but they didn't really care for the glass windows. They didn't even use, the helipad here. They didn't really care or that the building glowed in the dark. Actually, it was a pain in the ass that the building was glowing in the dark. Hopefully you're getting this analogy, right? So I spent all this time building the marketplace with a bunch of cool features in my mind, which I still think are cool. And most people didn't even use them. And so, again, I spent a year, a lot of time and money, because building this building out of gold, right? It's an analogy for the marketplace. Building all the features takes time. You got to pay a developer, right? And time is money. cliche, but it's true. And so what I'm doing now, which is the smartest way to go about building any business, is yes, have your vision, but how can you downgrade it? How can you build an MVP? That's the minimum viable product of it, right? So you know you want to build a business. So a business, or a building, sorry, in this case a building. And a building, what's a building? A building is essentially a place where people can go to shelter. So start with a mud hut, right? That's the mud hut with a door. Made out of mud, and there's a door. Actually, there's not even a door. There's just an entrance. There's no windows, right? There's no windows. That's all mud, right? Start with this because the purpose is the same, right? The purpose in this analogy for these buildings is to get people inside and protect them from the rain, right? What it does is the same thing. And because you're building a mud hut, right, the same people that were here to enter this building are going to be most times the same that are going to want to enter this because they want to solve their problem. Their problem is hiding from the rain, right? You're building a business to solve a problem. And it doesn't matter if it doesn't really matter the way in which you solve the problem, as long as you solve it, right? People are happy for it, right? And so you start with this little shitty mud hut. People come in, and then people are going to start to tell you, I don't really like that there's no windows. So then you upgrade it. You make a mud hut with a few windows. Still no door, though. Then people complain that the wind comes in at night. So then you upgrade even further. You add a door. That's a door. And then you also keep the windows, of course, right? And then not enough people fit here, so you add another story. Then you add another one, right? You're getting my point, right? You're improving your product and upgrading your product through people's feedback. And building a mud hut is much less expensive than building a building made out of gold that shines in the dark, right? With a helipad on top and floor-to-ceiling windows. Again, the purpose is the same, but the speed at which you go to market, which is super powerful, right? You want to get to market as fast as possible and start getting feedback from your users as early as possible, is much faster here, right? And you will eventually get somewhere like this. Kind of looks like your vision, right? But you will get there because you're training that way. But people might not even want this. People might just really want a huge, super tall mud hut with a diving board on top, right? Hopefully you're getting the analogy right, because you have your vision, you know what more or less what you're building, but don't build it all from the start. Because again, people might not really want this. People might want something else, and you learn what they want through the feedback. And feedback is just thrown around, but it's a super important word, super important keyword here. Feedback is super important because that's how you go from here to here real fast, and that's exactly how you make money. So don't make my mistake. Don't spend years building something or even a month, right? Don't do that. Just build an Excel sheet and that's your product. Write it down on paper and sell it to people. Just do the bare minimum, MVP, minimum viable product, right? I made this mistake. Don't build a business or building made out of gold that shines in the dark. Build a mud hut. Hopefully this was helpful. Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one, which will be tomorrow. Cheers.